Welcome back, pod people, to a brand new episode of Cinema D'Amore. I'm your host, Justin Morgan, and I'm here with two special guests, Grant and Tim.
Hi, I'm Grant Mayotte.
And I'm Tobias.
And these are my guests that were doing the Oscars episode last year. And for some reason, probably because I thought that we had a pretty good conversation, I invited them back. Now we're doing the 27th. Jesus Christ. We went back in time. We're doing the 97th Academy Awards. It would be great to just discuss the 27th. Just a real weird retro episode.
That'd be wild.
The reason why I was going with the 20s, I wanted to say before this episode started, it's going to air 2 days before the Academy Awards, but we're recording it 22 days before the awards. That's just maybe a little bit of insight for some of our predictions in case anything wild happens in the next couple of weeks.
We could have another scandal on our hands.
Yeah, there could be a scandal, but what I pick as my predictions, I will stick to, and I've never predicted this early before. I'm usually like very last minute. I'm like Saturday night, Sunday morning of the Oscars, still deciding between some things, so.
You're usually texting me that you're in a panic.
Yeah. My hair starts falling out. I'm like, this is just too much. I can't handle this right now.
I'm usually the day of the Oscars in the morning. I do my bracket early in the morning, and I give like my family, since I have like a party at my place, I let everyone predict up until at least 10 minutes before the Oscars are about to start.
Yeah, then you make them shut up.
Yep, exactly.
Everyone thinks it's a party. You're like, will you shut the fuck up? I'm trying to listen.
It's a party up until 8 o'clock. Let's just say that.
I'll probably do like a short little recap on Monday to do just final results to see where we were at. I do have to say our award of Oscar-damus, who has the best predictions, Grant, won it last year. Yeah. I believe he had 19 correct to my 17 and Tim's 14.
I believe so.
I'm expecting to get a bunch wrong in the crafts this year because I think there's just a lot of unknown.
Yeah, I mean that's half the fun. But I also rely on as many other award shows to help predict these. Yeah, I'm not going off of what I like, but I do try to see everything. I did get a lot in before this recording. I wish I could have got more in. I almost had all the best pictures, but my theater canceled my Nickel Boys screening last night, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was an issue with the projector or what the hell happened.
Maybe it was raining in the theater.
It could have been. It's a possibility. But I did see I'm Still Here today.
Oh, good.
I got 9 out of 10. I think there was 10, right?
I'm anxious to talk about that movie with you guys when we get to those categories.
You don't have to be anxious. You can relax.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just going to go through each category. Some categories might be quick because there's a few categories that we saw 0 of the films in. They're the short film category, so.
I also feel like consensus is starting to build in some categories, so I think we might roll through some of those pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, and we'll also talk about maybe what we liked, our favorites out of those categories, or snubs or people that we didn't think should be there, or movies, I guess. They don't just have to be people.
Justin, you know best director when we talk about snubs, but we'll get to that later on.
Christopher Nolan got his, right?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't talking about last year. I'm talking about this year for snubs.
Oh, okay.
We'll save that.
Save the best for last.
Especially we have DGA tonight too. That's happening as we're recording. So.
Yep, we'll be like, it's definitely gonna be this person, and then we'll be like, fuck.
Breaking news.
I mean, we usually do get some surprises in these award shows, and then they do mostly dictate what the Academy is going to be.
We will definitely get surprises on Oscar night. There's no doubt in my mind.
100%.
But you don't have to be anxious about it. Just be excited about it.
I always am excited. I love the Oscars.
We'll just roll into it, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the acting categories. So I'm going to go into actress in a supporting role, which I have seen all of these. Not to brag, but...
Oh, you can brag.
But to brag.
Brag all the way, dude.
Yeah.
We're just here to brag to each other.
We're just bragging.
In the best way possible.
I'm bragging about seeing movies.
Yeah.
On the movie podcast that we're doing.
I mean, maybe so we don't spend too much time on the ones that we kind of think are a given. We kind of all think that Zoe's winning this one.
That's my prediction of who's going to win it.
Yeah.
My favorite performance was probably Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah.
But I think Zoe's winning this. Zoe Saldana's going to win this one.
I'm looking at it as like, I mean, well, I guess we'll get to this soon, but with Amelia Perez, it feels like that's a way to reward the film. With all the scandal and everything going on, I feel like she's kind of also just winning a career Oscar at this point.
Yeah, and I also feel like Amelia Perez's chances are, it had the most nominations, but
Yeah.
I think it'll win here, and I think it will win in one other category.
This happens all the time, though, where a movie comes in with a bazillion nominations and walks away with nothing. Have you heard of a movie called American Hustle by David O. Russell?
Mm-hmm.
Great film.
Yeah, but I don't know how I feel about Amelia Perez. Easily my least favorite movie of all of them, excluding Nickel Boys, which I did not see, but I have a hard time believing that that's going to be worse. And we'll get into why whenever we, I guess we are kind of discussing the film itself. But if you want to talk about performances, I thought Zoe Saldana was fine.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine. It's not an Oscar-worthy performance, but she's going to win for her career, for her body of work. So I think that's the consensus.
Yeah, then like the other performances, I thought Isabella Rossellini was strong in her performance against all the other male cast members that she was there with.
Yeah.
Felicity Jones, I like her, but I didn't really think it was anything special.
It wasn't powerful.
I'm sorry. This is going to be very unpopular, but that accent was like almost cloying. Like it was on the verge of cloying.
And I'll be honest with you, she's 10 years younger than Adrian Brody, but when I watched The Brutalist, I thought that she was 40 years younger than him. I was like, why is she playing this lady? Why is she playing like his old lady? It seems off, but then I was like,
she's too young to play that role.
I don't think she's too young. I just think that she's more youthful looking, so she's played a lot of younger roles in her old age of, being in her 20s and 30s.
I think she's a very talented actor, and I loved her in Theory of Everything. I thought she's done amazing work all throughout her career. This was just not it for me, and I don't know if it was just the Hungarian accent that just really did not kind of took me away from the focusing on the performance. It just kind of just made my hair curl.
I mean, maybe she's up there for the end, the final scene where she's basically embarrassing and putting Guy Pearce's character on display as she's can't walk very well. There's a lot of physicality to that scene in a movie that she's mostly kind of bedridden when you see her, or in a wheelchair, or it basically comes down to her performances in the beats in a conversation that she has.
I'm with you though in this category. If I was voting, I would have given it to Isabella. First of all, she's had this huge body of work as well. Never been nominated. I think if she had just been in the film a little bit longer, because she certainly has the mic drop movie, point of the movie. So, I definitely would have voted for her if I had a ballot in my hands.
Yeah, Isabella, help us join the Academy, please.
Yeah, exactly.
And I agree as well. I think this is going to be Zoe's moment for sure. Like you both said, she has a great career, including with being in the Avatar films, being in the MCU, but there's other work that she's known for that she's just great in. Justin, you know how much I can't stand Amelia Perez, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
The person or the movie? The
movie itself.
Okay.
There are good things about the movie as well that I will admit. I think this will be Zoe's big moment, but what would be a shocker would be an upset would be Ariana Grande winning for Wicked as well.
Never gonna happen.
But you never know. There's always an upset.
There is, but that's.
But she's the dark horse.
That's not gonna happen.
No, she's the pink horse. We're probably in agreement in this one too. Actor in a supporting role. I have not seen The Apprentice.
You should see that.
I will let you borrow it.
You own it?
I own it.
Okay. Something I will get in before the Oscars, but haven't got in before this recording. I also find it extremely funny that Jeremy Strong is up against Kieran Culkin, and Kieran Culkin is winning everything, and I also expect him to win this one.
I'm rooting for him all the way. He seems like a great person in general. Being in his brother's shadow for a good while, I think this would be a great thing not just for him, but just for the film itself, were a real pain. I watched it today for the first time. Out of all 5 actors that are nominated in this category, I think this is the best performance out of the 5.
Pretty much a given Kieran's gonna win it. I appreciate the fact that you like him so much as an actor. I watched the Graham Norton interview where he said that he didn't want to do the film and basically almost walked away from it and then decided to do it, and now he's winning an Oscar. So it doesn't sit well with me, especially because I think that, personally, if I was voting again, I would have given it to Jeremy. Jeremy was incredible in The Apprentice. That performance is like what he did with Roy Cohn. It felt like an embodiment, and I'd never seen Strong perform like that before. So, but it is Kieran. Kieran's gonna win.
His reason for not wanting to do the roles, he keeps saying, was that he's a dad now, so it's more like a family-oriented thing.
Yeah, I just think when you have so much on the line as a producer, and you have money, and you have all these people you have lined up to do a project, and then you kind of waffle, I just think that's just not appropriate. But that's me.
Maybe I'd shit all over the Academy if I won. I'd be like, you stupid pieces of shit. I don't like any of you. I'm not thankful.
All right, so we lost all the Oscar voters listening to this podcast.
No, I don't think so. I think everybody is on board with that. Is that everybody's guess too? That's your guess too, Tim? Yeah. Kieran's winning?
Yeah, I think Kieran's gonna win. I gotta go with Grant too about with Jeremy. He did have a strong, not quote, but he did have a strong performance, but this is gonna be Kieran all the way. I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
I'm not recording video, but Grant looks sad right now.
I want Roy Cohn to win.
Moving into actor in a leading role, I watched 3 out of 5 of these movies. I have not seen Sing Sing, but I did like Coleman Domingo in Drive Away Dolls, which I worked on. Very hard movie. No, it was a great movie to work on. Sebastian Stan, again, didn't see The Apprentice, but I'd put him here for A Different Man if I was going to put him. I mean, I haven't seen his Donald Trump, but I thought his Different Man was good. Good performance.
He's really good in The Apprentice. I just really saw the cadence of what he did with Trump's voice and all that, so I really appreciated what he committed to for the performance.
And with his performance as Donald Trump, a lot of people have been saying that A Different Man is his best performance. No, to me, I think The Apprentice is more his best film right now at the moment. Because when I watched A Different Man, I didn't see a mind-blowing performance. But with him as Donald Trump, I didn't see Sebastian Stan at all. I saw Donald Trump. And that's what you want to do as an actor. Yeah. You want your audience to be sucked into the film and not see that person just performing. You want to see that person that they are playing. Yeah. And is he going to win? No, I don't think so. I think Adrian Brody is going to win for The Brutalist. It would come down to probably either Adrian Brody or it could be Sebastian Stan, but I think this is more of Adrian's moment again for a second time since he won last time for The Pianist.
When I watched The Brutalist, I would agree with you, Tim, that the first half I was pretty convinced that Adrian was going to win. But then that second half puts that Oscar right in Timmy's hands. So Chalamet is walking away with this one.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think it could be Timothy as well.
Yeah.
Because I did like him as Bob Dylan very much.
Not only does he just does a great job with the role, the role felt like a glove, it just felt like a perfect fit for him. But then of course he did all the recordings of the songs.
Right.
So now he performed all that. So I think that all the momentum is in his favor. Plus I think he would break that Adrian previously held as the youngest actor to win. Adrian was 29 when he went for The Pianist, and I think Timmy will either just have turned 29 or he'll still be 28 when he wins. So.
I agree that you guys are eating up the performances that are based off of real people like Donald Trump or Bob Dylan. I think Adrian Brody's winning this one. Probably my favorite performance out of all of them too, excluding Coleman and Sebastian Stan because I did not see those performances. But Timothée Chalamet, he was okay. I really didn't care too much for the movie. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was pretty mediocre, and I didn't learn anything new about the character. And as far as his impersonating went, I think that was probably a highlight. Yeah, he probably can absolutely win this. And if he did win it, I think that he deserved it. It just wasn't my cup of tea, to say.
All right, yeah. No, Timmy's winning. I mean, if you want to get that one wrong, you're more than welcome to, because I could use the extra point over here.
I'm going with Adrian Brody, and I think that Cate Blanchett was a better Bob Dylan.
Remind me, last year, were you Team Emma or were you Team Lily?
I went with Lily and Lost.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so that tracks.
Emma was the front runner, but I felt like there was going to be a slight upset where I was wrong. So
yeah, you certainly were. Okay, great.
You certainly were. Actress in a leading role. I've seen all of them.
I mean, if anyone says anything different except for the correct answer on this one, we might have to end the podcast.
It's Demi Moore. It's my favorite performance. It's
the best performance.
And I think that she's the most deserving. Carla Sofia Gascon, who did Amelia Perez as Amelia Perez. I don't think that maybe she had a shot, but she does kind of have a scandal with old posts that she had on Twitter. And it sucks that anything outside of the movie itself has to play a part in that. But I love Demi Moore in this movie. I thought that she was great in it.
There's absolutely no way that Demi is not winning. And the most exciting part about this, not only do I love Demi Moore and is she winning her career Oscar, but I love that she's winning for a genre film. And to me, this is opening a door to everything now on what the Academy chooses to embrace and anoint. So I'm so happy, because to me, there's a lot of great films, of course, every year, but The Substance was something that I'm not even a horror fan, and I just thought I had never seen a film like this. And what's great about that film in particular is that it's a film that's trying everything, and it says, I really don't care if you like me back, because I'm just going to do me. And I just love that film has been recognized the way it has been by the Academy and these awards bodies. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I think they said it's the 7th horror film to be up for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I think the last one might have been Black Swan.
What about any of Jordan Peele stuff?
Get Out.
Was it up for Best Picture? Oh, okay, yeah.
It was.
So Get Out.
And he won Best Original Screenplay.
Yeah, right.
For that year.
Yeah.
First time director, first time writer, ends up winning.
He sounds like a young Quentin Tarantino.
Don't compare him to QT. Only QT can be QT, and only Jordan Peele can be Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele's more of a John Carpenter than a Quentin Tarantino, but he is his own person. Who do you think's going to win this, Tim?
I'll be brutally honest. I think it's Demi Moore as well.
Oh, okay.
I do. When you were talking about The Substance, Justin, we talked about it a lot before I watched it. I wasn't too excited to watch it at first. And just like Grant, I'm not a massive horror fan as well, but some of my friends turned me on to horror when I was going to Point Park. While I was watching the film, I'm shocked that Demi Moore didn't win an Oscar sooner. I'll be honest.
She didn't win one yet.
I know, but I'm just saying, when she wins, I'm surprised that she didn't win one a lot sooner in her career. I think this is going to be well deserved for her. I think it would be a massive upset if she did not win.
There's nobody else that could win in that category. There's nobody else that would upset.
I mean, I know this is about the performance, and the performance is great, but I think the thing with the horror genre is that most of those movies, they can fit strong messages into those movies if they want to. If they do, they're usually considered highbrow horror, and then you have slasher horror or whatever you want to get into that's just for scares or kind of mindless entertainment.
In the same category, I think right under Demi, even though Demi's going to win right under her, to me, it's Mickey Madsen for Nora.
I think the problem with Mickey is that she's an unknown.
I think she's Mikey.
Right. Is it Mickey or Mikey?
I think it's Mikey.
Okay.
She's an unknown. She came out of nowhere. The New York Times did a whole expose on her after Cannes because people were just getting introduced to her. And I think you have this happen often where someone kind of skyrockets into stardom, kind of like Gabby Sidibe did with Precious. It's just hard for Academy of voters to give, like, write her name in, right, to someone who feels like an ingenue. Whereas Demi has like this whole body of work. Vanity Fair ran this like 20-minute video of all these clips of her from the very beginning. It just feels like, Variety put her on the cover and called it the Demi-sance. Like, it just feels like it's already a coronation. If I was talking to a friend and saying, like, what are your two safest bets for your Oscar ballot, I would say Kieran Culkin and Demi,
100%.
Mikey was on that FX comedy show. Yeah, she was in Scream. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
In Scream and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she caught on fire in both of those movies. She did not catch on fire in Honora. I did love Honora, though. I did think that she was great in that. Put a lot of heart into that role. And also a very good Long Island accent.
And that's what intrigued me more of her, was from the very beginning she had me. Demi, in her film, it was...
They opened in a strip club and you're like, you have me.
No, it wasn't... It was a scene after that. Let's put it that way, Justin.
I do have to ask, did you watch this movie by yourself or did you watch it with your mom?
I watched it by myself.
Okay,
by myself.
Like, bring your mom to the weirdest movies.
I was like, today, I watched it for the first time today, and then at first I'm like, I want to watch this with my mom, and then rewatching the trailer, and then watching it in my apartment by myself. I went to myself and I said, I'm so glad I didn't watch this with my mom.
I had a friend that when we went to the strip club was like,
TMI.
She let me do things that she doesn't let other people do. It was all things from this exact movie that they brought up.
Is this pretty accurate for you?
Yeah, okay. It's pretty accurate. More people need to see it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Demi Moore has this one in the bag, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
For live action short, I've saw none of these movies.
Same.
I'm reading that The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, which I'm pretty sure is about me, is in the front. So that is what I'm gonna go with. That's my guess.
That movie was made for you.
They haven't started showing the shorts here yet, so the only one I saw was a documentary short that Justin told me was on YouTube.
I feel like one of these are on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps it or not.
I always miss a couple of the shorts because what I think is the great one is not the one that ends up winning,
Yeah, and then it's hard too because if you see like 4 out of 5 of them, there's still something you didn't see, so you don't have like a general consensus on what it is.
Yeah.
But what are your guesses for these movies you didn't see?
You said mine already.
Oh, you're going with that one too, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Mike.
Okay, we're all in.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of homework right before I came on, and I was looking at the categories, and that was the one that most intrigued me too. So I'm pretty, I wouldn't say excited, but I'm very intrigued to watch it.
Because you're like, I literally work with this person every day. It's Justin.
That and you can never stay quiet.
No, I can't.
No, it's not in your biography.
We can move on to animated short film, which I've also seen 0 of them. I love animation. I love animated shorts. Pixar needs to start bringing back their animated shorts. It's blasphemy that they stopped that shit. They ruined it with the Frozen short.
Even DreamWorks is doing shorts right before their films now. I went to go see Dogman, and they had a short for Bad Guys too.
Bad Guys too.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Bad Boys too. I was like, there's an animated short for Bad Boys too.
That would be crazy though.
That feels more like an advertisement. There was kind of a short cartoon in front of Joker Folie à Deux. I mean, it was part of the movie.
Let's not talk about that. That's not even like...
Not even nominated.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
Thank you, Grant.
Yeah, doesn't mean
You
anything.
say that for the Razzies episode.
Yeah.
No, that's best picture material there. But of all these ones, I was hearing In the Shadow of the Cypress and Wander to Wonder, and I'm going to go with Wander to Wonder.
I was going to go with the other one that you said.
You're going with the Cypress one?
Yeah. My eyes kept drawing to it, be like, it's going to win.
Did you say Grant?
No, I declined.
I think you're going to go with Beautiful Men.
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds great.
That'll be the one that wins too. All right, animated feature. I've
Yay.
seen all of them. Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Honestly, I think all these movies are 4 stars and up. I really enjoyed all of them.
Agreed.
I think my personal favorite might be The Wild Robot, but I'm going to go with Flow for the Academy Award.
Whoa!
I do have to agree with Justin on this one as well. I did watch Wild Robot. I do personally love it. I just love the story. But I think it's going to be Flow as well, not just because of the look or the story, but it's just that it's a silent one too. And a lot of films like today, you don't see that at all, including in animated features. You really only see that in animated shorts. But
even WALL-E, they started talking halfway through the movie.
Right, exactly.
WALL-E didn't talk, but characters started to speak.
Yeah, but it's more of the look and emotions that you feel than you're drawn to. You don't have to talk all the time. But shout out to Allie. She loves this movie, Justin.
I thought you were gonna shout out visual storytelling. Like, shout out the visual storytelling.
Well, shout out to them as well, because they did a great freaking job.
Yeah, I had to rent this one, which I was like, come on, Criterion Channel. I did see, like, I think it's coming to Max next week, and I'm like, of course it is, after I already paid for it.
That's how it goes.
I have a 3-day rental. I think I'm going to watch it again after this, and we get my money's worth out of it.
There you go.
What I really appreciate about Flow is it's like, it feels like it's world building. Like, it's not building off some IP or something that you can compare it to. It really feels like it's its own thing. I was really worried about the film, not having any dialogue in it.
It's a cat. You just want him to speak?
Well, I think with animated, we've definitely narrowed it down that it's between Flow and Wild Robot. There's no question in my mind it's one of those two. We're talking about purely like who we think is going to win, not so much who we want to win. And I think, last year I voted against Boy and the Heron because I think that the animation body in the United States is so robust with the studios that there are people in the Academy who have any affiliation with Disney or Pixar or DreamWorks or whatever. They tend to vote for their friends, right? Like, it's just normal that somebody worked on a project that you would vote for that project. I mistakenly voted against Boy and the Heron, which is more of like would have been like the indie outsider, right? It's Miyazaki, whatever.
Yeah, he's so old, and he's like, I'm hand drawing this one.
So on one hand, I'm thinking, okay, Flow won the Golden Globe, which is an international critics body. It got nominated in international feature, which obviously means that the people who are voting in that committee for international feature also really liked it because it knocked out some really good films that were shortlisted for international feature. So then there's like definitely a narrative building in my head on one side that's like, oh, Flow could win. However, the part that I'm having a hard time letting go of with Wild Robot is that it is a film that really pulls on your heartstrings. I can't tell you how many people texted me and told me that they cried watching this relationship between a robot and a goose. And and I do think that DreamWorks has kind of stumbled and it's never really had a contender like this before. And so I feel like anybody who's in of that world for DreamWorks is going to want to celebrate this particular film through that. So it's really hard for me because I know the Academy's gotten more international. Like I said, it won the Globe, blah, blah, blah. And it does feel like a very international animated feature, even though it has no dialogue in it, just the way that it's composed. And I just keep thinking that Wild Robot is the emotional vote. It's the passion vote. And it's also a rah-rah to American animation. So I kind of feel like Wild Robot still takes it.
Okay. Yeah, when I saw this in theaters with my stepdad, who I saw that and Garfield with him. I only animated movies for some reason. Garfield was not very good, but Wild Robot, he was just like, wow. He's like, this looks so good. Like, how are they doing all that? It is mind-blowing. And yeah, I agree with you, the emotional side. That's obviously what got me the hardest. And I kind of got pretty emotional with all of them except maybe Wallace and Gromit. That was fine, but I wasn't really like choking up during it. But Memoir of a Snail, I watched a few nights ago too, and that movie was so funny and felt very real, down to earth.
It's this beautiful balance between melancholy and humor.
Yeah, every couple minutes I was laughing. It's also very morbid. It's just like there's somebody dying like every couple minutes.
Spoiler alert! Come on, I didn't see it yet.
It's on AMC Plus, so
Oh,
get
that's
that.
okay.
Get that subscription, watch it, and cancel it.
I do that with some of them, but with Wild Robot, I watched it on Peacock for the first time. But like Grant said, it was about a robot and a goose, but for me, that's not what I saw, because it hit me very emotionally. I saw a story about a mother and a son, and I'm very close with my mom, and that's what hit me the most was just that dynamic and that relationship. And it's also about like a mother having a hard time letting go of their child as well, even though that's not their child in the film. But that was my biggest takeaway.
I do question how much you love your mother, though, but you didn't see Nora with her, so
I'm going to explain to her.
You're gonna explain.
I'm going to say it right now because I know she's going to listen to this.
Tell her to watch it by herself, and she'll have all the answers that she needs to know why her son didn't watch that with her.
Mom, Justin said it all. There you go.
No, Inside Out 2, not as good as Inside Out 1, but I thought it was still very good. Yeah, Wallace and Gromit. I thought that was also a very funny movie, but yeah, it wasn't as endearing.
I love Wallace and Gromit growing up, so this is another one I still have to see. So I'm very excited to watch it on Netflix. I might do that right after here.
The company where they get the clay from or something's like running out of clay. It's a very expensive medium. But yeah, with Flow, which I really haven't said much more about it, except that I enjoyed it. I think Grant knocked it out of the park by saying the world building. The world building is so interesting because you can follow the story very easily, but there's some shit going on in this world that is very kind of subtle at times. Or there's this giant cat statue that you might have lots of questions about, but you're not really gonna get 100% what's happening in that part of the world.
It has a very international feel to it, right? I mean, I think the animals that they choose to put in the boat are meant to represent the different continent. I mean, that's how I saw it. So I feel like it's telling this story, but as a very international, very like not specific to any one place. You know, it's not how to represent. I kept thinking, oh, we're in Egypt, but we're not in Egypt. There's a capybara in the boat. That's not Egypt. That's South America. So
Latvia too. Like, I don't know what kind of technology or whatever they have, but I thought that it looked like somebody that was meddling with animation, a new 3D animation that maybe they hadn't used before, because some of it looks very raw, but like some of it doesn't. Like the environment looks really good. It's like the animals kind of pop, like they're like the contrast or something's been played with to make them look a little bit more like storybook-esque. Or not storybook, but like children's art book.
Yeah, for children's illustration. That's what I like a lot about it, because it's directed to kids, but adults can enjoy it as well. And it's also nominated for International Feature, but we'll get to that later on.
Writing, original screenplay. I have not seen September 5 or September 5th, but I did kind of see it because I saw Munich, but I'm just messing. I think that this is a Nora all the way. I think Sean Baker's winning this one. I think that it's probably the only award it will win. Is it my favorite? Yeah, it's up there. I think it's as deserving as maybe The Substance. I thought that was really good too, story-wise.
And why don't you think that The Substance could win it? Like, why could that not happen?
I feel like it could happen. I just feel like there's a little bit of an edge to Sean Baker. And plus, I just felt like, I wouldn't say it's far behind. The Substance is probably my favorite movie of the year.
Do you think that it wouldn't win? It's definitely my favorite as well. But do you think that it wouldn't win simply because of the genre?
I think the genre could hurt it, but at the same time, I'm thinking between everything that I've seen, A Real Pain I thought was more performance heavy than the writing. Like, I think there were good.
It's not gonna win.
Yeah, I thought there were good moments in that, and then like
September 5th is also not winning.
And I felt the same with The Brutalist. I felt like The Brutalist was by Tim. Its power wasn't in
screenplay.
Yeah, not at all. I thought that it was shot well. I thought it was performed well.
Yeah.
I liked the editing in it, but I think Anora might have the better pacing between the two of them.
Yeah.
And that is another movie that's like doesn't ever really go exactly how I think it's gonna go. Sometimes it's a very tense movie, sad. Sometimes it's really funny. There's a lot of really funny moments in there too. So it really feels like quite a roller coaster ride of a script. But they both kind of have those very like impactful endings. If I'm gonna say Anora and Substance, like they both have that like strong final moment. When I left the theater for both of them, I was kind of like love at first sight. Like I thought that they were really, really well done. Do you think the Substance is going to win then? Because I don't really think that the genre is a.
I think that it could though. That's the thing is when I look at it, my first instinct is to say Anora. But I'm like, am I only saying that because genre doesn't typically win? Because I think now we have started to see a pattern with.
What did Tim say? Not to cut you off, but Get Out won.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I guess this is how when they're filling out their ballots, right? It's always about spreading the love around, and I guess if we're rewarding the Substance via Demi, then the only chance that Anora really has at winning an Oscar is through screenplay. So that's kind of where I landed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I feel like Substance has a good shot too when we get into makeup, and Anora, I don't really know where else it could possibly win.
It can.
With original screenplay, for me, I'm going to be completely different, and I'm saying A Real Pain is going to win.
Okay.
Because for me, I watched that tonight for the first time before I came on with you guys. It was a real dynamic world for me, and the writing felt more real to me. For me, I was looking back and watching both Anora today and A Real Pain. Those two are going to clash, and probably The Substance as well. But I feel like it's A Real Pain for me because I really enjoyed the writing, the storytelling of that world, and I believe Jesse Eisenberg did a incredible job as a writer and a director with this film, and I'm excited to see what he does after this. He did not just show that he is a great actor, but he is a great storyteller. And look at Jordan Peele. Like I said, he was an actor at first, then he started writing and directing with Get Out, and this could be another possibility that not just an known actor that we loved for a very long time since The Social Network, ends up being a writer and director, then ends up winning another Oscar for writing. That's where I'm landing at this point for original screenplay, because that's what I look at with the writing, because I want to feel like I am a part of that world.
Did you feel real like neurotic and did you feel like I don't know, feel like a Woody Allen or something?
A little bit. Like I see where you're coming from with that. Like I think that's a great comparison. Like I think Jesse could be like the next generation of the Woody Allen style.
The Woody Allen boys.
But no, I do see what you mean. But for me, with original screenplay, I think personally it's going to be A Real Pain.
What about adapted screenplay? I have only seen 3 of these. I did not see Nickel Boys, thanks AMC, and I didn't see Sing Sing.
I am the same way. Right now, I'm going to say right now, because it's not official for me, because I didn't see all 5 as well. Right now, I'm saying Conclave.
Mr. Grant.
I do think that Conclave's best chances of winning anything are here.
You're conclaved.
It's not going to win anything else.
No.
I can't compare it to the source material because I didn't read that. I didn't read any of these. My wife's a big fan of Nickel Boys. She said it was sad, though.
Well, I was just about to say, if it's not Conclave, it's going to be Nickel Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Conclave also. I actually thought the story in Conclave was really great to the point that I just kind of liked it. And then as I left the theater, the more I thought about it, the more clever I thought the storytelling was. And you're talking about like genres. A movie that this felt like it was in the DNA of it was Saw, because the Pope that's passed away has like a jigsaw level of plan that he put into place. The more I thought about it, I was like, damn, this guy fucking was 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
It's a very interesting film as well, because with me personally, I was always intrigued, how do they choose who the next pope is? and everything, but with the writing and seeing it visually, how they pick was very intriguing to me. Just
Tim,
to
they have a
see,
conclave. That's how they do it.
right? But I didn't know what the process was. That's the thing.
I gotta say though, it looked really good too. Like it really did look like the Vatican.
Oh yeah.
It looked like they filmed it there.
Yeah, they did a great job. Edgar, right? Like he was All Quiet on the Western Front? So like.
Yes, I love that movie. I thought that movie was so good. It was another movie that going into it, it was just kind of one to like knock off my list, and I was like really didn't care for like another All Quiet on the Western Front, but I thought that it did like a fantastic job at like sucking you in. It wasn't like just an experience film like, I don't know, 1917. It felt very heavy on like very quickly they're into their country's nationalism, and they're all happy and like proud to be going into the military, and after their first battle they're already just, holy fuck, this is terrible, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And Conclave is sort of like they can be terrible with the Vatican too. Yeah, they probably are. It's like Mean Girls but with
Cardinals.
With Cardinals, yeah. Mean Girls with Cardinals. That was probably the tagline that got people to buy it. But yeah, I think Conclave is winning this one too.
Yeah. All right.
Makeup and hairstyling. Seen all of them,
yep.
And I think it's the substance.
100%.
I'm gonna be very different.
How different? Are you gonna be different man? Different?
Yes. Yes, because I am going to say a different man. No. And this is why. Like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the substance. With the makeup and hairstyling, it kind of caught me off guard just a little bit. Like, did it look real to me? At times it did, mainly with Demi when she got older. But why I'm saying a different man is, if you guys have watched it, Adam Pearson, who plays Oswald in the film, that's what he actually looks like in the film. And he is actually deformed in real life. If people listening did not know that, it is very true. And if you look at the very beginning with the makeup for Sebastian Stan, and you put it right next to Adam, it's very identical and shocking at the same time. It's very hard to pull that off. The last time I saw makeup like that was
Elephant Man.
Exactly. And I feel like they really...
I think I was going to be right.
Are we twins? I don't know. That's a little scary.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we?
I think that the substance, not just the Monstro Elizabeth Sue person, but even like Margaret Qualley, like they did makeup on her that just looked natural, and they were just like body prosthetics. So you can't tell. So I think that
the amount of prosthetics that went into the substance for the little budget that they had.
But Nosferatu's mustache,
oh, gorgeous.
That could win.
Wow.
It's gonna win it itself, just the mustache.
Looks like we're torturing Grant. I hope if it wins, or at least not if it wins, but when they're going through the nominees, it's just shots of that mustache again and again and again.
It's the only thing I look at too, and it's just like...
That's the only thing? Not when he stood up out of his coffin?
No,
his stuff was all out.
Let's not talk about that part.
Because that's makeup. That's why I got nominated.
Just for that part.
So Tim's being different. Me and Grant are on the same and right page.
Right.
Production design. I've seen all of them.
This is a fun category to talk about, actually. I'm excited to talk about
I hope it is fun. I hope so.
To me, you could write many different narratives for this category. There's no clear favorite. For instance, Nathan Crawley, who did production design for The Wicked, I think he has won twice before, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he worked with Wes Anderson on Grand Budapest. I could be totally wrong, but I seem to recall that Nathan has won twice already. He's like one of the best in the business. You could definitely look at Wicked and go, oh yeah, that could win. You could make that narrative. You could also look at The Brutalist and go, oh yeah, that could win. With that library and all that shit, there's 100 ways you could draw this out.
Or like we said, the Vatican for Conclave.
The Vatican for Conclave. I wasn't personally a big fan of the production design in Nosferatu, but I know that other people were. And they did quite a bit, to build all that shit in Romania. I really don't know how you could look at any of these nominees in this particular category and go, oh yeah, I know for sure it's that one.
I know for sure it's Brutalist.
I'm not convinced.
I'm going to go with Brutalist. I do think that of all of them, though, I personally would want to lean more towards like a fantasy world building. So like I think of like Dune or I think of Wicked. And then if you're comparing Dune and Wicked, Dune has a lot of great designs. But Wicked, I thought, did a great job of playing off of what we know from the original Wizard of Oz. And it really did feel like expounding on that kind of world building, and the sets that were designed felt like in places that we haven't seen before, felt right in that world. And I thought that they were clever. Best way I can put it.
I gotta go with Wicked on this one, 100%. I'd be very upset, me personally, I would be very upset if Wicked did not win, because I respect that film so much for what John M. Chu has done with it, and building all the sets with all those flowers that they actually grew. I respect it so much. And using a actual live train for the film too, which people would not really do right now, but they did. And with Wicked, I saw it 3 times in theaters for 3 different reasons. My family wanted to see it, my cousin wanted to see it, my friends from college wanted me to go see it with them.
Did you want to see it? You weren't considered any of
Oh,
those
I
things.
wanted to see it over and over again. Don't get me wrong. I love Wicked so much, and I think it is one of the 2 or 3 ways that it could win an Oscar, too. If it doesn't win production design, I think it's going to win costume design.
I think it will win costume design too.
It's gonna
Me
win
too.
So we're all agreed on that. Who do you think's going to win production design, Grant?
So hard. I mean,
You
it's
seemed
like-
more for Wicked, but you are right. It is a tough category.
I do feel like Nathan is the veteran here. It's kind of like when Mark Bridges keeps winning for costume design. I don't know. It's just the Brutalist, the production design piece of the Brutalist, to me, is not the entire film. It's kind of focused on certain parts of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that there's like this thing where they just don't respect fantasy film in a way. It's like comedy in a way. It's like doesn't ever get its fair shake. So I could see them picking something like The Brutalist over Wicked just simply because, it's only part 1 of 2. They don't respect it, that kind of thing. I don't know. This one's tough. I just keep thinking Nathan's won before. That he's beloved. His work is respected.
It's brutal out there, though.
Probably gonna swing towards Wicked. I'm probably gonna stick with my gut.
I'm just sticking
Good.
with my
I
gut
like that.
too. I gotta stick with my gut and say Wicked as well, because if you look of who won even last year, Barbie won those categories, and Wicked reminds me of Barbie from a little bit, but better.
Barbie didn't win.
Oh, Barbie didn't win? Who won?
You guys picked Barbie, and I told you not to.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
You remember because you were
Yeah.
just told. Costume design, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2's only nomination, I think, and Nosferatu and Wicked. And we're all in on Wicked because
Complete Unknown didn't even get nominated by the guild, the costume design guild. So we know that's not winning if their own guild didn't vote for it. And then of the 3 winners, because we actually have that one guild, that costume design, they had their awards on Tuesday. And so Wicked won, Nosferatu won, and then I can't remember Conclave won. So we know it's one of those 3, and it's not Gladiator. And I think of those 3, it has to be Wicked. There's just when you get to Emerald City, you see all these backgrounds and how they dressed everybody. It's incredible. Really.
if it's not period piece, if there's period piece dresses, those usually always win. But I thought that this is about as close to that as we're gonna get. Maybe it's not the most educated thought, but when I'm looking at the design, the whimsical is, I feel like, a little bit harder to pull off. And I feel like the costume people are either like out of the box, very creative, or like, damn, this period piece just got the accuracy of the costumes 100% right. And we know that Ridley Scott wasn't about accuracy. I didn't even know the thing that about A Complete Unknown, the guild not voting for it. I don't know. I feel like they just watched Don't Look Back and copied it as much as they possibly could.
Yeah. All right, so that was an easy one.
International feature. I saw 2 of these movies. No, I've seen 3 of these movies. I cannot count. I'm Still Here, Brazil. The Girl with the Needle, Denmark. Amelia Perez, France. Seed of the Sacred Fig, Germany. Flo, Latvia. I think it's I'm Still Here. I mean, that's typically how it goes if it's nominated for Best Picture, which this is.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I was worried a little bit that Emilia Perez would be, this is where they would give it, but I think with all the controversy and just how much I'm Still Here means to the Brazilian people and in terms of telling their history, and how it really this hasn't happened for them in a while, that they've gotten even on the board. So I think this is the best chance for that film to do anything. Did you like the film, Justin?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was very well made.
Yeah.
I was really nervous in the beginning. I'm like, something's gonna happen to this fucking dog. The busy street next to the beach and the kids and all that. I thought it really picked up towards the end, like how it affected the events that affected all these people, more so than leading up to it or whenever, you know, they were going through, I guess, the present time of the situation. But I do like where they started, because I thought that it did a good job at making you care about this person that goes missing, and just seeing how their loss devastates this family. And like you said, it's a magnifying glass on what was happening over there with tons of families, and they're in the same boat where decades have passed and they had not gotten answers. This is based off a person who kind of gets more answers based off of how prominent their husband was in that story.
I will tell you that I have seen A Seed of the Sacred Fig, though, and it is exceptional, and I also won a prize at Cannes this year, or last year rather. The director presumably would not be able to probably attend because he's probably under house arrest, knowing the Iranians. And it's a very powerful critique of the government. I definitely encourage you to watch it. It's not a short film, it's quite long.
Hey, I saw The Brutalist. I am not against long movies.
Yeah, and I do think that film could spoil, honestly. So don't be surprised if it beats out Still Here. Although I'm gonna vote for I'm Still Here at the end of the day.
If I had seen everything, and I probably will see some of these because I saw The Girl with the Needle was on like Mubi.
It's on Mubi, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll probably catch that there, and I do want to see the Sacred Fig. I only saw a trailer for it in a theater when I saw something. Yeah, half of those things are like, they don't mean anything to me, and then I see the movie and I'm like, damn, okay, I get why it was there. I get why it was nominated.
Yeah, exactly.
Tim, are you going to be different?
I was, and then Grant reminded me of the controversy with Carla. I originally wrote down Amelia Perez, even though I cannot stand the entire movie.
The entire movie?
Yeah, I was originally convinced that Amelia Perez was gonna win in that category, and now the controversy, I think, really hurt the film in that category in particular. I'm now convinced 100% that it's gonna be I'm Still Here.
Also, like, Amelia Perez is a French movie that's based off of the culture of Mexico. Not that that's really like a bad thing, but had it been a Mexican film and they were kind of celebrating the telenovelas with the musical and it's tied into the culture that way, I think that it would have had a better shot.
Yes, and what killed it for me, don't get me wrong, I feel like the plot of the film was great, and what killed it for me immediately, you both know I love musicals. With a film like this, it did not need to be a freaking musical.
Tim, that's every musical.
Nah, hey, watch it.
When I saw Wicked, I was like, this is pretty good. It'd be nice if they weren't singing.
It needed to be a musical. But Amelia Perez immediately, killed it. I was watching it with my mom, and the first 5 minutes, we looked at each other and went, why is it a freaking musical? I have no clue. And that's what killed it immediately for me, and I lost interest.
I love that you didn't like a musical.
I love that. I predicted every time when the song was about to come on, and it came on. I'm like, oh, great.
I did think their songs were probably better than the Wicked songs, though. But I did like Defying Gravity. I thought that one stood out.
You are so lucky you're over a computer right now.
Why? I mean, Zoe Saldana's winning. She has to be good at singing, too, right?
She's okay as a singer. She's not the best, but she's okay.
You don't have to be a good singer to be in a musical. Like, I love Sweeney Todd, and I love the fact that almost nobody can sing in that movie. But then there's other times with, like, I'm not big on Les Mis, and I can't stand Russell Crowe. I'm like, why did they get Russell Crowe? He's awful. We're listening.
It's the same thing with Pierce Brosnan in Mamma Mia in the first one, but he did get better.
He's had some lessons between the first and second movie.
I think.
So you're going with...
I'm Still Here.
Okay, I'm making sure. Yeah. Sound.
Great category.
Sound mixing and
editing
are now combined together into sound. I think this is where Dune wins.
Absolutely, 100%. I think this is the only chance it has at winning.
I would agree.
The sound mixing and everything for like A Complete Unknown's interesting to me because I'm sure they could say they're, redoing the songs from scratch and making them as close as possible.
The Oscars it used to matter what these films would be nominated for in the crafts.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, we have a Mad Max come along and it would take all the crafts, right? Or, you have a Gravity and all this kind of stuff going on. But now it's not that world anymore. Now it feels like all these categories live independent of the other categories. And I truly believe that they kind of like, when they're filling out their complete ballot, they want to spread the love around. That's definitely seems like how it's been going lately. So if you look at last year, for example, when Zone of Silence won, I mean, it wasn't going to win anywhere else, but it had amazing sound design. And so
Zone of Interest.
Yeah, and so Zone of Interest, thank you. And so kind of isolating the quality of that film in that particular category, I feel like that's kind of become the norm now. And it's not so much about, I love the Brutalist, so it goes here and here and here and here and here all the way down.
Yeah.
I do feel like Dune, even though it didn't show up anywhere else, really, visual effects, but I think it has a chance here.
Timothée, that's going to be my new name now.
Only if he wins Best Actor.
He's winning.
Sound, I have to go with Dune Part 2. Dune had its shot to win all the categories when the first movie came out.
But this is Dune Part 2.
I know. This is where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because we've already seen the world before. We're not as blown away as we were originally, if that makes sense. But with sound, it's a very different story because you're in a theater. You want to feel like you are in that world. And I felt like I was in that world when I was watching the film.
Yeah, I think of interesting Foley sounds or another one that usually wins, and I think Dune can kind of fall in that category too. But when there's war, they really work on the surround sound, the Dolby Atmos, and their they could do bullets ricocheting, and they make the sound move around you and stuff. That seems to be what impresses people that vote the most.
Right.
So yeah, we're all in on that.
And if the Cinemark had those D-Box seats when Dune Part 2 came out, I would see it in those seats.
Our next category has a singing monkey, lots of flying monkeys, and monkeys that are trying to start a kingdom on the Planet of the Apes. And then there's Alien Romulus and Dune Part 2. I'm talking about visual effects.
I think it's going to be one of the monkeys. I think Better Man is going to take it.
I think Better Man definitely win it. If it wins at BAFTA, I think that's what'll be my ultimate. That's what I'll do. Because I'll put Better Man down if it wins BAFTA.
I'm going with Dune. I just think it looks great.
Have you haven't seen Better Man, right?
I haven't seen it.
I saw it.
Justin, the only caveat that I would say is that, the Robbie Williams figure that is playing the monkey, he's the entire film.
Yeah.
So they had to build the film around basically the visual effects, right? It's very visual effects heavy. So I would just say that since it's a critical component to the film, maybe you have to consider, that being it also,
I do have that consideration, but I also am willing to pick something different in the hopes that I can beat you. Honestly, though, I thought the visual effects in all these looked very good.
I agree.
A Better Man, no, I had not seen it, but like I've seen all the other Mans. I didn't see Dog Man, but I saw Wolf Man and A Better Man, but I did not get to Better Man. Sorry, I think I fucked that. I think I said
Shame on you.
I am a typical American that has no clue who Robbie Williams is, and I feel like I'm also pretty good with my pop culture, but I was like, what? And there's this great meme going around from Mad Men, which is Peggy. Americans don't know who Robbie Williams is. And Dom Draper's like, that's what the monkey's for.
But do you really know the backstory of why it's a monkey?
I don't know anything about the guy because I didn't see the movie.
Like before the movie came out, you never heard of the song Angels?
I don't think so.
Even I did.
I'm not surprised. I still never saw The Greatest Showman. I know that's the same director as this.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything against him. I don't have anything against the movie. I can't judge it because I haven't seen it.
That's fair.
If you're both all in and Grant brings up good points and then basing the visual effects around the...
I'm not all in. I'm just saying that if it wins BAFTA, that to me is telling me that you have an awards body who recognizes what it is, and then I'm pretty sure the Academy will follow suit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm always looking at a little bit of past winners, right, in this category. So what, Godzilla won the last time?
Yeah.
I just respect the hell out of Dune 2. I thought, when we talked about sound design earlier, there was so much more worms in Dune 2. So like that whole, the arrival of the worm, calling the worm. I think when you're talking about visual effects, the same thing applies. Just how those worms look on screen, knowing that's all visual effects. I mean, it just looks great. It looks.
And
really
they use
good.
that brown screen or whatever to help the effect of like looking like you're in the desert still.
Yeah.
Instead of being like overly bright from.
And I do think that if Dune 2 hadn't been one of the 10 nominees, then I would be almost certain that it wasn't going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But because it is a Best Picture nominee, I have to go, okay, wait, is it Better Man or is it Dune 2?
I mean, there's a huge possibility if Dune gets sound that Better Man just gets visual effects.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to wait to see what BAFTA does, and then I will decide.
Yeah, okay.
That is fair.
Editing. Film editing.
I gotta go with Wicked on this one because I want to be sucked in. I want to see real people and not feel like someone is just cutting a film just to make a film. And for me, Wicked was not that at all. I was sucked into the film the entire time. For those reasons, I think it's going to take editing. But I could be wrong.
I'm going with The Brutalist because it's actual film editing. I feel like that's going to give it a little bit of a boost. You have to compare the cut to the tone of the movie. I feel like a lot of these are very well done. Anora kind of helped build that anxiety. The Brutalist feels like a lot of long, slow takes where you take it all in. It's not anything crazy like I think of one that I go back to, something like Whiplash, where like it can go along with the music, or the cuts can help tell the story that way.
I'm with you. I'm gonna go with the Brutalist as well. I don't really see anything else in this category that jumps out at me as a possible winner.
That's where I was struggling at too. It's down between Wicked and Brutalist for me because of.
You did not seem like you struggled. You were like, it's Wicked.
It's hard to say right now. Like if you ask me in a few weeks, I may have a different opinion. But it's very hard to compare two movies that are very much different.
I mean, that's the whole problem with movies in general.
Right.
When you think about film editing, I put in the idea of actual film editing as opposed to, editing on digitally. Nothing against editing digitally, but I think that's some background that separates this movie a little bit. And the rest are like Wicked and Emilia Perez kind of fit into that category of cutting to music. I really didn't see anything special with Conclave, but Anora and Brutalist I thought tonally were great.
I agree with that very well.
Documentaries. I haven't seen any shorts. I haven't seen any features. That's usually pretty bad because I'll probably get all the features in before the Academy Awards because that's the other category besides Best Picture and Animated that I like to have. Internationals probably on par with documentary with me trying to get them all in.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer at this point that No Other Land is going to win documentary. It's a very safe bet.
That's the one I have too. Are you playing it safe, Tim? Or did you see...
No way that doesn't win, because they politicized this particular category. They have for years now. And it is the most relevant topic. Now we're getting all this aerial footage of what Gaza looks like. There's no way that that's not winning.
I have friends that are Palestinians, and 10 years ago, they really were talking to me about what was going on there. And yeah, it is definitely politicized. It's fucking terrible what's happening there. And it's terrible what has happened there over like politics to people. Documentary. Are you going with that too, Tim? Or are you going with Porcelain War?
No, I'm going with you guys on this one.
For shorts, I'm going with Instruments of a Beating Heart because I heard that was a front runner, but I don't know.
That's the only one I've watched.
Yeah, did you like it?
If you ever want to just cry about first graders in Japan not getting chosen to play an instrument for the recital, this is the... Oh my goodness. I watched this over drinking my morning coffee, and
oh my god.
I was like sad. I was truly feeling something for these first graders who were not chosen to play an instrument. It was hilarious. You gotta see it. It's on YouTube. It's free.
Doing it.
That's great to know. I'm gonna watch it.
What's your guess, Tim? Are you gonna go with?
I actually wrote down Incident.
Okay, that's you.
Yeah.
Again, you didn't see anything though, right?
Yeah, I didn't see any of them. Right now I put down Incident, but I still have to see all 5.
Cinematography. I have seen 4 out of 5 of these. I've seen The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Nosferatu. I've not seen Maria. It is on Netflix.
I mean, it's Ed Lockman, who's 1,000,000 years old and the most beloved person cameras.
You're going with Maria.
No, I'm not. I don't think people like the movie, but I'm not surprised that people nominated Ed because he's as old as Clint Eastwood and Ridley Scott, and he's been doing this forever, and he's got an amazing eye. And I'm not surprised at all to see Lockman nominated. I think the film actually hurts its chances of winning. I will probably go with The Brutalist on this one again.
Timotei.
I am still struggling on this one. Come Oscar Sunday, I may have a different opinion. Right now, because of the style and look, I really enjoyed also the cinematography of this one. I am right now going with Nosferatu.
Wow.
I'm in the same boat as Grant. I think that it's going to be The Brutalist that wins. I think that it is a great looking movie. I do like Nosferatu a lot too. Mm-hmm. And Dune. Dune's black and white planet.
I'm pretty sure Greg Fraser's been nominated before too.
Yeah, a bunch.
I feel like he's nominated all the time, actually.
But I think I'm also going to go with The Brutalist as well because the last...
You changed your answer?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, right before I came on, it was literally down to Nosferatu and The Brutalist for me. I was thinking it over and over in my head. As of right now, like I said, my opinion will probably change. As of right now, I'm still going to stick with Nosferatu.
But for the Oscar Domus Award, we'll have to lock down for this.
Yeah.
Music. Original score. I've seen all of them. I mean, I've heard all of them. I've heard them all. My prediction is Brutalist, but I really did like the score for Wild Robot too.
That is a great score. I think they could both win.
It kind of goes back to what Grant was saying earlier. Guy that did Conclave, Volker Bertelmann. I really liked what he did with All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't even remember what the score is for Conclave. This is not sticking in my head at all, which isn't really a bad thing at all because nothing sticks in my head anymore.
I'm also going to go with The Brutalist on this one.
I'm glad that you are.
I did write down Amelia Perez because the only reason why I'm thinking that is only because of how everything is going with that film, including at the Globes and then at the Critics' Choice. It is a possibility because when the film won Best International Film at the Globes, I was completely in shock. I'm really more in shock that Challengers did not get nominated. in this category.
Great score, Tim.
I love a lot of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, but that was a really fucking good score that like I was listening to after
I
the
think
movie.
this is the biggest snub in that category in particular.
I mean, there's a lot of people that felt that way. So yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is your score, Grant?
I'm gonna go with The Brutalist just because that opening piece of the score that you are first introduced when you're watching the film is so strong. It's so catchy. It's gonna be that thing that kind of I feel like people remember.
Songs. I've only heard 2 of these songs because I've watched Amelia Perez, and I'm thinking it's Elma. That I think that's the overarching theme of this movie, so I think it's the strongest one. But again, you think something like Sing Sing might win.
I agree with you, Justin. I think it's gonna be Elmo.
I thought so too, but then I don't know. This film is so embroiled in controversy now that I just feel like everyone's like backing away from it as quick as possible. And final voting hasn't even opened yet. It doesn't open until Tuesday, so it's like, I don't know. Do we just give Elton the Oscar?
It's never too late to give Elton an Oscar.
I mean, he has one already, but like, do we just give him another one because we don't give it to Amelia Perez?
Yeah. Is that your guess then? Give it to Elton?
I mean, I didn't think Elton was going to get nominated. When they came out with the shortlist, I just thought, okay, that's nice.
It's never too late to be nominated.
That documentary played at TIFF when I was, here, and just it kind of came and went with no one really discussing the film after the festival was over, and I just thought, okay, well, that's nice. And I was just kind of shocked to see him get nominated, and I don't know, I just feel like maybe the Amelia Perez songs cancel each other out, and then something else wins. I don't know.
Directing.
Corbett's winning. This is how they're gonna anoint the film. They're gonna feel good about giving Corbett director, but it's not. That's where it's gonna top off at.
Yeah, I agree with that too. For some reason, I put you down for the substance because I thought you were saying Coralie.
Oh, I would love for Coralie to win. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
God, I would fucking lose it if she won.
I'm in the same boat. I think it's going to be Corbett on this one. Honestly, all the movies were very well directed, except Amelia Perez, in my opinion.
If it's true that he really did all of that for $10 million, that is remarkable.
You're talking about Amelia Perez?
No. Apparently the budget that was for The Brutalist was $10 million.
Oh, okay. I was like, Amelia Perez had a lot of people in the dark, so like with a light on them, I could believe it was $10 million. Timothy.
I take Best Director very, very seriously.
We're taking it seriously.
No. Like me personally, because that's what I want to be. I want to be a director. I want to be a writer. It's one of 4 that I take very seriously. Right now, I did write The Brutalist down. I did write Corbett down for a director. But this is what I'm thinking as well. It's going to come down to either Corbett or Baker. And those 2 films in particular are very strongly directed. It's going to come down to either of those 2, but I think Corbett is going to win. But if Corbett wins, it's a possibility that Anora may win Best Picture. And if Baker wins, there's a possibility that The Brutalist will win Best Picture. But there's also that possibility. We saw Nolan win Best Picture for Oppenheimer and Best Director last year, so it could be that way too. Brutalist wins Director and Best Picture. Yeah. But that can't always be the case.
Well, I feel like directing is kind of reigning in everything, but not everybody's voting for that. Everybody's voting for Best Picture, so that's kind of where things get muddled.
Right.
Oh, I think it's going to be the year for Brutalist. I think Brutalist is winning Best Picture. I personally like The Substance, Anora, even Dune, and Conclave more than Brutalist. But yeah, out of all of them, I think most of them are very deserving. At the bottom, I just wasn't a huge fan of A Complete Unknown. I like Bob Dylan. It just didn't feel like it went anywhere deep or interesting with Bob Dylan. It just felt like, hey, look how good we are at this period piece and how good Timothée Chalamet is at embodying him. So like, I give it to him for possibly winning acting. And then Amelia Perez, my biggest issues with that were personal. I'm not a huge musical person. I did end up liking Wicked. But that and the telenovela thing bothered me, where it just felt ultra cheesy. I thought that the transgender story was great, but I don't think that it really went all in. Like the first 30-40 minutes were way better than the rest of the movie in my opinion. But the casting, going back to Zoe Saldana, I thought that she was great. I thought that all of the cast was great. I thought that the woman that played Amelia Perez was great. I don't know about the makeup, because that's like nominated for makeup. I thought she looked kind of terrible whenever when they said that they started the transitioning and the first time that they grabbed Zoe in the very beginning of the movie. Like Tim was saying how he liked the story. I think the story was the best part of that movie. I was fine with the musical numbers and all that, but I just thought that it kind of went really cheesy soap opera-esque at the end. My favorite, The Substance, and I'd probably put Anora or maybe even Dune close behind. And I didn't see Nickel Boys, thanks AMC. But
you're just gonna keep saying that until you actually go see it.
Shout out to AMC for only having one showing of Nickel Boys and then canceling it. And I thought, oh, the whole theater must have lost power. And I look it up and I'm like, no, just Nickel Boys isn't playing. What the hell's going on? They're like, there's only 4 people seeing Nickel Boys on Friday night. Canceled.
Best picture for me personally, I wanted to see The Brutalist win. I loved it so much. But thinking of it, like, am I saying this because I really think that it's going to happen, or am I saying it because I love the film so much? Originally, I was all in for The Brutalist to win Best Picture. Then I watched Anora today, and I'm still struggling a little bit. Like I said before, with director and picture, Corbett wins. I think Anora will win because that film is very strong. Both films, don't get me wrong, are super, super strong.
Anora's better, but it's not Best Picture. That's right. That's The Brutalist.
I do think The Brutalist will win Best Picture. That's what I'm gonna say.
Mr. Grant.
The Substance was the best movie of the year. Unquestionable. And so I'm just thrilled that it's even here. But obviously I don't think it. So it's really a 3-way race, between Anora, The Brutalist, and A Complete Unknown. The reason I think Anora is not winning Best Picture is because, to me, when I watch that movie, it's like Uncut Gems meets Pretty Woman, And I do think
it is. That's why it should win.
I do think that there's just that old guard of the Academy who aren't going to embrace this. And I think of all of Sean Baker's films, this is probably the least accessible, even when you consider Red Rocket, because it kind of just flies off the handles, and it's kind of moving at this high octane. And if you have to really stay with it, or you kind of get left behind. And it has kind of this frenzy energy, right? This frenetic energy in it, and that can be off-putting to a lot of people. So I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. I think that's like what we talked about earlier with the screenplay. I think that's where it's going to get. It's because also the screenplay award is going to Baker, and he won Palme d'Or and all this stuff. And they're happy. They're going to feel good about that. They're going to feel good about giving Baker an Oscar, telling him he's part of the club now. The Brutalist, I was almost certain that it was going to win Best Picture until that second half. I think the second half of the film really, really falls apart. I think the fact that the last time we hear Adrian Brody speak was with his wife at the hospital, and then we never hear him talk again, and then the epilogue is kind of rushed, and it feels kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah, weird thing to be ambiguous about, too.
Yeah, and there's nothing satisfying about how things kind of wrap up, because he's just sitting in a wheelchair nodding at you, and you don't get that kind of
What's not satisfying about that, Grant? Just Adrian Brody in a wheelchair nodding at you, yeah, that's great.
It's
Perfect
just
ending.
kind of cold the way, and it feels kind of gratuitous, like all the things that I sat through and watched in that film, only to kind of rush the ending. It did not feel like a slam dunk. Like, my gut tells me it is not a slam dunk. You have to also remember, when they vote for Best Picture, that headline goes around the world. It's like, are we truly saying that this is the best movie of the year? I think The Brutalist is a hugely accomplished film. No question. I think it has tons of merits. But is it Best Picture? Is it the best movie of the year? I do not think it is. I do think that there's enough holes you could punch into it that kind of expose it to say it's not the best picture. So then we're left with a complete unknown. And here's why I think complete unknown wins best picture. Number one, weighted ballot, right? It's all about what movie, when you look at these 10 nominees, what movie does no one hate? What movie does no one hate?
I hated it. No, I didn't really hate
You're
it.
not an Academy voter. But this movie,
actually, Grant, no,
I watched it. I watched an early screening of it. I was with all these baby boomers, and let me tell you, they absolutely loved it. They loved it, and it's not just Bob Dylan's story that's being told, because you have Guthrie's story. It's about the American songbook. So it's about the transition of American folk music, then kind of meeting like when Dylan plugs in, right, and it becomes this whole change that happened at the Newport Festival. It's more than just Dylan's story, right? And so, as much as I hate to say this, it's also rah-rah Americana, right? It's talking about a time of history that kind of goes with our American folk music, because that's part of like our American culture, the American folk experience, right? And these big people, it's Joan Baez, it's Freddie, Guthrie, it's all these people. And not only that, but it's this very strong ensemble. I mean, Edward Norton is great, Monica is great, Tim's great. They're all firing on all cylinders. So when you look at the sum of all the parts of that film, it's really hard to come up with a faction of people that hate that movie. There are going to be people who hate the substance. There are going to be people who hate The Brutalist that didn't want to sit through a 3.5-hour movie. There are going to be people who hated Conclave because of the whole trans thing. There are going to be people who
hated Amelia Perez because of the whole trans thing.
Because it's like uncut gems, and it's insufferable at times. You know, when she's just screaming at the top of her lungs. It's hard to look at that movie and go, oh yeah, I want to anoint this. I want to tell the world that this is Best Picture. So it just feels like Complete Unknown wins simply because it's the last man standing. That's how I got there.
I think we're in dark times, and I think that...
It's a Green Book year, you know?
No, it better not be. It's a brutal year. Favorite movie for you of the year, Tim?
Me personally, I wouldn't say for me not The Substance. I would probably say The Brutalist as my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
It's a very accomplished movie. There's nothing I would definitely put it on my top 5 of those nominees.
Absolutely.
I mean, last year my favorite was Godzilla, and it did win visual effects, but it's an Academy Award winning Godzilla movie. But yeah, it wasn't not a favorite of the Academy.
I mean, my favorite movie last year didn't even get nominated, so Ava DuVernay's Origin, loved it. Absolutely loved that movie. I'm
going to piggyback a little off of Grant with the Complete Unknown, because the way, Justin, I personally feel like the way that you're looking at it, not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing you look at it a different way, because we all look at films not the same way. With me, I didn't know a single thing about Bob Dylan. Me personally, I learned a lot about Bob Dylan as a person and what he stands for. Even today, like Grant said, this film is really representing a lot of what we are going through currently. And I feel like that movie could be very well deserved of winning Best Picture as well. The way that I feel you're looking at it is, it's just strictly about Bob Dylan.
No. But
is it about Bob Dylan? Absolutely, 100%. But it's about what he stands for.
One of our friends had a good description of it, where he was like, yeah, it's just basically 2 hours of the baby boomers sucking themselves off. And I was like, that's exactly what I thought it was. And Grant said it in like a much nicer way, as like, you know, this is going to get those votes, and I can see that. But
just don't be surprised if it ends up winning.
I mean, I wouldn't really be that surprised if it ended up. The last time I was genuinely surprised something won was Parasite. Thought it was deserving, and I never thought it was gonna win. Never thought it would have had a chance to win.
Yeah.
I was so happy when it won.
Brutalist does feel like it's channeling the old school cinema thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, not just the story elements of an immigrant, where like it kind of feels like Godfather Part 2, but it feels like an older. I don't want to say like how the artist was to like the silent era, but it feels like there's also like a love letter to film in that movie.
And I think it's going to take a few Oscars home.
Yeah.
You know? I think Corbett, they're going to feel good about giving it to Corbett and director, and that's how they're going to say, we acknowledge you and we love the film and we feel good about giving it here, but we're not giving it Best Picture.
And hopefully our person who gets the most predictions right is Grant again. I'm rooting for you, Grant. I don't like being right all the time. Somebody else has got to be right every once in a while. I'm not usually a person that's right all the time.
You were coming for my crown. I thought you were trying to take it from me.
Well, I am trying to take it from you, but I do hope that you win. You can have both of those mindsets, I think. Also, it's like we said, there's lots of movies here that I think will win, but there's also movies I would prefer to win over what I think is the prediction. Yeah, if it's like a substance year, I'd be like, damn.
I would love some upsets.
Because, it's been a while since there was like kind of a horror sweep, which would have been Silence of the Lambs, I think. I think that was the last one that won 5 Academy Awards or something, exactly. So maybe not going to happen here. On our podcast, we've been doing connectivity thing where every movie that we discuss connects to the other movie. And the last one that we did was Traffic. And this is kind of like a reprieve of sorts, whereas we're discussing the Oscars. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about Grand Prix from 1966. If you can figure out how those connect, if you can figure out how those movies connect, we'll be discussing that. Thank you for being on, Tim Grant. We'll have to do this more often, or if we don't, at least once a year. Like, it is nice to talk to somebody that's not Chuck, and I can say that because Chuck won't listen to this. And he also was like, I didn't see any of the fucking movies, I'm pretty sure, ever.
That's great to see you both, and I will look forward to continuing to harass you both on the group text.
You don't harass me, but we do harass Tim.
A lot. Grant, let's put it this way, okay? I'm the youngest. So I'm the little brother that always gets picked on at work.
Yeah, sorry, Tim.
It's okay. I enjoy it.
In our office at work, I'm the nicest person to Tim.
It's very true.
Tim just gets harassed so much.
Constantly.
They're like, you're mean to Tim. I'm like, maybe, but I'm not the meanest.
There could be meaner. Like, no one's like the meanest. There is no meanest. Like, everyone's very playful about it.
You can be playful and mean.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to see you both. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
As of February 26th, Cinema d'Amour has updated and finalized its Oscar predictions, now including Chuck's picks since he was absent during the episode. Here are our final selections. Actor in a leading role. Chuck, Grant, and Justin predict an Adrian Brody win for The Brutalist, while Tim picks Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Actor in a supporting role. A unanimous prediction. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain. Actress in a leading role. Another unanimous choice. Demi Moore for The Substance. Actress in a supporting role. Everyone agrees. Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Animated feature film. Justin and Tim predict Flow. Chuck picks Inside Out 2, and Grant goes with The Wild Robot. Animated short film. Chuck, Justin, and Tim favor Wander to Wonder, while Grant predicts Yuck. We'll take the win. Cinematography. Grant and Justin predict The Brutalist, while Chuck and Tim back Dune, Part 2. Costume design. A unanimous pick, Wicked. Directing. Justin and Tim predict Sean Baker, while Chuck and Grant choose Brady Corbett. Documentary feature film. Grant and Justin pick No Other Land. Tim selects Black Box Diaries, and Chuck goes with The Porcelain War. Documentary short film. Chuck and Tim predict I Am Ready, Warden. Grant picks Instruments of a Beating Heart, and Justin selects The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Film editing. Chuck and Tim predict Wicked. Grant picks The Brutalist, and Justin selects Conclave. International feature film. Chuck and Justin predict Emilia Perez, while Grant and Tim choose I'm Still Here. Makeup and hairstyling. Chuck and Tim back Wicked, while Grant and Justin predict The Substance. Music original score. Grant, Justin, and Tim predict The Brutalist, while Chuck picks Wicked. Music original song. Grant, Justin, and Tim choose El Mal, while Chuck predicts Never Too Late. Production design. Chuck and Tim go with Dune, Part 2, while Grant and Justin predict Wicked. Live-action short film. Chuck and Tim predict The Last Ranger. Grant picks The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, and Justin selects Anuja. Sound. A unanimous prediction, Dune Part 2. Visual effects. Chuck, Grant, and Justin predict Dune, Part 2, while Tim picks Better Man. Writing adapted screenplay. Chuck, Justin, and Tim predict Conclave, while Grant picks Nickel Boys. Writing original screenplay. Chuck and Tim favor The Brutalist, while Grant and Justin back Honora. Best Picture. Grant, Justin, and Tim predict Honora will take the top prize, while Chuck bets on The Brutalist. Please tune in to the Oscars on Sunday, March 2nd, to see how our predictions stack up. We'll add an update at the end of the episode to reveal the results and the winner of our prediction contest.